Let me share something with you that could change your life. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself drifting into thoughts of someone, even when you swore you had moved on? It happens in the quiet moments, when you're lying in bed at night, when a familiar song plays, or when a fleeting scent stirs a wave of unexpected emotion. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle, like a whisper at the edge of your mind, but it's there, lingering. Maybe you convince yourself it's just nostalgia, that it doesn't mean anything. Maybe you try to push it away, drowning it in distractions, hoping that one day you'll wake up and find their presence gone. And yet, no matter how much you try, they remain. It's almost as if their presence has nothing to do with them at all. Carl Jung believed that nothing in the unconscious mind is random. Thoughts don't simply emerge without reason. If someone continues to resurface in your mind, it's because your psyche is trying to tell you something. This person isn't just a memory. They are a symbol, a representation of something much deeper. The unconscious is a vast, intricate landscape filled with everything we've experienced. Every wound, every joy, every unresolved emotion. Some memories fade quietly into the background, while others, the ones that carry real weight, keep resurfacing until we finally pay attention. Maybe you think that if you had closure, the thoughts would fade. Maybe you believe that if you stay busy enough, you'll finally be free. But what if I told you that the harder you try to silence these thoughts, the louder they become? Jung proposed that what we resist the most is what tends to persist, that the mind does not let go of something it still needs to understand. So the real question isn't why you're still thinking about them, but what part of yourself is being reflected through them. Because sometimes the people who linger in our thoughts aren't just people. They are mirrors revealing something we have yet to recognize within ourselves. Consider this for a moment. What if the reason you can't stop thinking about them has nothing to do with them at all? What if they are simply a reflection, an echo of something within you, something your mind is trying to unravel? Jung believed that we don't see people as they are. We see them through the filter of our own experiences, wounds, and hidden desires. In other words, we project aspects of ourselves onto others, often without realizing it. Projection is one of the most powerful forces shaping human relationships. It occurs when we take something buried within us, an insecurity, an unmet need, a repressed part of ourselves, and attribute it to someone else. We think we are fixating on a person, but in reality, we are captivated by what they symbolize. It's not just about them, it's about what they awaken within us. Have you ever admired someone so deeply, felt drawn to them in a way that seemed beyond your control? It might be because they embody something you've disowned in yourself, some part of you that you've buried or forgotten. Maybe they exude a confidence you secretly wish you had. Maybe they live with a boldness, a freedom you crave but have never allowed yourself to embrace. And so, your mind fixates on them, not because they hold the answers, but because they mirror something missing within you. And then, there is the shadow side of projection, the hidden wounds, the parts of ourselves we would rather not face. Sometimes the people who linger in our minds the longest are the ones who hurt us the most. We replay conversations, relive the pain, analyze every detail as if searching for a missing piece. But Jung would say that this fixation isn't about them. It's about the part of you that was wounded, the fear that was triggered, the pain that still seeks understanding. Until you uncover what that is, your mind will keep returning to it, trying to resolve the unresolved. So ask yourself, what does this person represent to you? What qualities do they possess that stir something deep within? What emotions do they bring to the surface? Because the truth is, the thoughts won't stop until you stop looking outward and start looking inward. The person occupying your thoughts is just a mirror, and their reflection is trying to reveal something important. And here's where it gets even deeper. Some of these attachments, these lingering thoughts, aren't just about projection. They are connected to something older, something that has been shaping your relationships long before you even met these people. This is where we begin to uncover the hidden forces of archetypes, the universal patterns that dictate who we connect with and why. Not all thoughts are surface level. Some run deeper, tracing back to patterns older than you can consciously remember. Have you ever wondered why certain people leave a profound impact while others fade effortlessly into the background? Why do some connections feel almost fated, as if they were meant to happen? Carl Jung believed this wasn't random. He argued that our strongest emotional attachments aren't merely about the people themselves. They are shaped by archetypes, universal patterns embedded deep within the human psyche. Archetypes function like invisible blueprints, guiding how we perceive the world, how we love, and how we attach. They are the unspoken forces that draw us towards certain people while repelling us from others. Among the most influential are the anima and the animus, the unconscious feminine within the male psyche, and the unconscious masculine within the female psyche. When someone lingers in your thoughts, it may be because they have awakened this profound, hidden part of you. Consider the people who have held a powerful presence in your life. Do they follow a pattern? Do they share specific traits or evoke similar emotions? This isn't mere coincidence. Your unconscious mind has been shaping your attachments long before you became aware of it. Some people embody qualities you yearn for, the energy that feels familiar. Others stir something buried deep within, old wounds, unresolved conflicts, and hidden fears. This is why certain people linger in your mind long after they're gone. They didn't just pass through your life, they activated something within you. Jung believed that love and obsession often have little to do with the individuals themselves and everything to do with what they represent. Some connections feel beyond reason, almost mythical, as though they carry a meaning we can't fully grasp. And perhaps they do, because whether we acknowledge it or not, we are all seeking something through others: wholeness, understanding, and healing. But there's another side to this. Sometimes these attachments aren't about what we need, they are about what we lack. The people who occupy our thoughts may symbolize the parts of ourselves we have yet to embrace, the strength we've denied, the confidence we've left unclaimed, the love we've never fully given to ourselves. Until we recognize this, until we understand what they mirror back to us, our minds will keep holding on, trying to resolve something that was never just about them. Beneath archetypes and attachments lies something even more profound: the unhealed wounds we carry, the silent fears that shape our emotions, the subconscious patterns that keep us anchored to the past. Until we confront these wounds, until we face the true reasons why certain people remain in our minds, we will keep searching for answers in all the wrong places. Some thoughts don't just linger, they grip you, pulling you back to places you thought you had left behind. It's as if no matter how much you try to let go, some invisible force keeps you tethered, keeps you wondering, keeps you remembering. But here's what most people don't realize. The reason you can't stop thinking about them isn't because of who they are. It's because of what they triggered inside of you. Carl Jung believed that the things we try hardest to suppress are the very things that end up controlling us. That's why certain people become imprinted in our minds. They didn't just enter your life. They awakened something you've been carrying for a long time. Maybe it was a fear of abandonment. Maybe it was a wound of rejection. Maybe it was an ache for validation you didn't even know was still there. When someone activates these parts of you, when they bring old wounds to the surface, your mind holds on to them. Not because they are special, but because your psyche is trying to heal. Think about this. When a physical wound is left untreated, your body keeps sending pain signals to alert you that something is wrong. The same happens with emotional wounds. If you can't stop thinking about someone, it's because there's a part of you that still needs healing. Maybe they left without explanation, and your mind replays everything, searching for closure. Maybe they made you feel unworthy, and now you're trapped in a cycle of trying to prove something, if not to them, then to yourself. Or maybe they reminded you of something deeper. A part of yourself is still yearning for healing, something you've been running from. The mind doesn't cling to people. It clings to unfinished emotions, unspoken words, and unresolved pain. Until you address the root cause, your thoughts will keep circling back, trying to make sense of what your heart still cannot understand. Jung would tell you that the answer isn't in obsessing over the person, but in turning inward, tracing the pain back to its origin, understanding why this specific wound exists, and finally giving yourself what you've been seeking from someone else. So what is it? What is the wound beneath the thoughts? Is it a longing for connection, a fear of being forgotten, or a part of yourself you never fully embraced? Because until you stop asking why they won't leave your mind and start asking what inside you still needs to be healed, the thoughts will never truly fade. And here's the hardest truth. Sometimes the person you can't stop thinking about is merely a distraction from the real work that needs to be done. And that work isn't about them, it's about you. Because the moment you face the wound, the moment you acknowledge that it was never about them, is the moment you begin to reclaim your mind, your heart, and your sense of peace. But before you can let go, before you can truly free yourself, there's something even more powerful you need to confront. The shadow self. The part of you that you've been avoiding. The hidden force that shapes not just your thoughts, but your entire life. There's a part of you that you don't fully know. A part you've pushed away, ignored, buried beneath distractions, relationships, and endless thoughts about people who should no longer matter. Carl Jung called this the shadow self, the hidden side of you, made up of everything you've denied, rejected, or left unclaimed. And whether you're aware of it or not, this shadow shapes your thoughts, your emotions, and even your attachments to people you can't seem to forget. What if the person who won't leave your mind isn't there because you love them or because they're special, but because they're revealing something about yourself that you refuse to see? Jung believed that the relationships that affect us most deeply, the ones that leave lasting imprints, the ones we obsess over, are often the ones that bring us face to face with our unconscious. Sometimes what keeps you hooked on someone is not their presence, but the way they awaken a part of you that has been hidden for too long. Have you ever noticed how certain people evoke extreme emotions in you? Some people may make you feel insecure, abandoned, unworthy, or desperate for validation. Others may make you feel alive, inspired, or deeply understood. The reason they have such a strong effect on you isn't because of who they are, but because of what they reflect back to you. They stir something within you, something that was always there, just waiting to be seen. Maybe the person you can't stop thinking about represents a trait you've suppressed. Maybe they embody the freedom, confidence, or emotional depth you've denied in yourself. Maybe they exposed a wound you never wanted to admit was still open. This is why certain people haunt us, because they force us to confront what we've buried deep within. Jung believed that unless you integrate your shadow, unless you acknowledge and accept the hidden parts of yourself, you will remain trapped in cycles of longing, attachment, and fixation. Your unconscious will continue placing mirrors in front of you, using other people as reflections until you finally recognize what it's trying to reveal. So ask yourself, what is this person showing you about you? What is it about them that evokes such a strong emotional reaction? What part of yourself have you been unwilling to face? Because the moment you stop focusing on them and start focusing on what they represent within you, everything changes. But here's where true freedom begins. Because understanding your shadow is only the first step. Once you recognize what's been hidden, you must learn how to free yourself from its control. And that is where the journey toward individuation begins. The path of truly reclaiming your mind, your emotions, and your sense of self. If you've come this far, you've likely realized something profound. The person who won't leave your mind isn't just a person. They are a symbol, a reflection, a messenger of something buried deep within you. And now that you've seen the projection, the archetypes, the wounds, and the shadow, it's time to ask the real question. How do you finally let go? Carl Jung believed that true healing comes through a process called individuation, the journey of becoming a fully integrated and conscious version of yourself. Individuation is not about forgetting, suppressing, or forcing yourself to move on. It's about understanding why this person held such power over you in the first place and reclaiming that power for yourself. Letting go isn't an act of resistance, it's an act of awareness. Most people attempt to move on by distracting themselves, rushing into another relationship, or convincing themselves they no longer care. But thoughts don't vanish simply because you ignore them. If someone still occupies your mind, it means a part of your psyche remains entangled with them. The only way to truly free yourself is to uncover the lesson your unconscious is trying to teach you. Maybe they awakened a longing within you, a desire for love, validation, or connection that you have yet to fully give yourself. Maybe they exposed a wound you were unwilling to face. Perhaps they embodied a part of you that you've been suppressing, an aspect of yourself longing to be acknowledged. The key to letting go isn't to push these realizations aside, but to integrate them, to reclaim the parts of yourself you projected onto them, to tend to the wounds they revealed, and to understand that they were never the true source of what you were seeking. Jung would say that the reason you can't stop thinking about them is because you've given them ownership over a piece of your soul. And the only way to truly move forward is to call that piece back. This is the essence of individuation, becoming whole, no longer seeking missing pieces in another person, but discovering them within yourself. So instead of asking, why am I still thinking about them? Ask, what do I need to reclaim? Instead of trying to forget, seek to understand. Instead of waiting for closure, create it within yourself. The moment you stop viewing them as the answer, the moment you realize that the power to move forward has always been yours, is the moment their presence in your mind begins to fade. And this is where everything changes, because you're no longer lost in the illusion that someone else holds the key to your peace. You begin to see that the person you were searching for was never them. It was always you. There comes a point when you realize the thoughts are no longer about them. The memories, the longing, the questions. They were never truly about that person at all. They were breadcrumbs leading you back to yourself. Jung taught us that what lingers in our minds reflects what lingers in our souls. And the moment you stop chasing ghosts and start embracing the lesson, the weight begins to lift. You were never haunted by them. You were being called to heal. And now you know exactly what you need to do. It's time. Set yourself free.